Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. This is going to be an evening practice. So, after a long day, we can check in with our bodies, strengthen some areas that may have been relaxed all day from sitting, and unwind for the night. So, take a few deep breaths, just be aware with your body. Notice anywhere that feels tight or sore even. We are going to begin with rolling out the shoulders. So cactus your arms out. And Bearski decided to join us. He loves yoga. Cactus the arms out and bring them down. And we are just trying to activate the areas that have been rounded all day. I was trying not to pet Bear, but I had to. And then bring your arms behind your back. Just being aware of anywhere that's been tight today. If you'd like to stretch out your neck here, feel free. We're going to do some arm circles back, and we're going to focus on keeping our shoulders down and pulling our shoulder blades together. And then we're going to reverse those circles and go forward. And before moving into our first downward dog, check in with your body, make sure you don't need to spend any more time anywhere. And we are just going to raise our calves when we are in downward dog, stretching and strengthening. And you can move into raising one calf at a time if you'd like, one heel off the mat at a time. You can focus on your shoulders here, whatever feels right for you. After raising our heels, we're going to do shoulder circles, and we're going to do 5 each side. And then we're going to be moving from plank back to down dog and back to plank. Just waking our shoulders up. When you move back into down dog, try and push into your shoulders and really open them up. And the next time you move to down dog, drop your elbows to the mat. We're going to do 5 of these. And then move to plank, down to chaturanga, and to upward facing dog. Really feel your spine here. Look left and right. And drop your stomach down to the mat. Extend your hands out in front of you. And we are going to lift right arm, left leg for 5 seconds. And then we are going to try and hold our foot with our arm that was extended. Hold for 5. Engage your glutes here. And release. Hold for 5 and drop down. And then we'll do the other side. This is great for activating our back body after sitting all day. Press your fingertips down to the floor before we lift both hands and both feet off the mat, keeping a really strong back body. And try and bring your hands to your feet and hold here in bow pose. And release. Move into seal pose. So leave those hands out in front of you and push up like upward facing dog, just with your hands out further. And move into tabletop. And we're going to do the same thing in tabletop. So raise your right arm and your left leg, and then hold your left foot with your right arm and do this 5 times. On your 5th contact, hold. Engage your back body. Hold that foot up. And release. And we are going to repeat on the other side. So first extend, find your balance, do 5 taps, and then we will hold. And release. We are going to move into puppy pose. So we are dropping our torso to the floor. You can either scoot your knees back or bring your hands forward. And just drop your torso down as far as you comfortably can. Keep a nice strong core during this. If you are familiar with this pose and comfortable in it, you can raise your knees off the mat. Begin to safely move out of puppy pose, and we're going to do one more. So drop your elbows down, bring your hands up in a prayer position, and drop your torso down. Remember to breathe here. This is an intense stretch, so just breathe and be aware of what your body is comfortable with. And release. We are going to round our spine. Really feel the effects of arching your spine and engaging your spine muscles. You can move back into child's pose and just breathe. So come up into a standing position, and we are going to drop down into a forward fold, and then come to a halfway lift, drop back down, and repeat just a wave-like motion with the spine. And then cross your right leg over your left, keeping your left leg straight, and other side. And then walk your hands to your left side, stretching your lats, and then your right. And walk your hands forward into a down dog. Notice your nice open shoulders. Step your right foot forward into lizard lunge, and you can drop that back knee and bring your opposite foot up. Or you can just stay in lizard lunge. Go back to low lunge and twist on the other side. Drop your left hand, raise your right, another twist. And back to plank, down to chaturanga. Come back up to downward dog. And repeat on the other side. So left foot is up this time. You can drop that right knee if you'd like, or leave it. And we will twist on both sides. back to plank, down to chaturanga, back up to downward facing dog, and come up to a standing position. Breathe for a second and then step into a high lunge with your right foot and straighten out that front leg to triangle. And you can lean your torso over your leg here and twist, so leave your left hand on the mat and then twist with the right hand on the mat. Lean into that right leg and you can take a bind here if you are comfortable. Your left foot should be facing out and not straight forward. This helps with balance in this pose. And release that bind. Bring your left foot up to meet the right and step back with the right foot. So you're now leaning over your left leg. Leave your right hand on the mat and twist. And then your left hand on the mat and twist. Open up that back foot. You can lean into your left leg and take your bind here if you're comfortable. And release your bind. We're going to bring both hands to center, both feet facing forward. And drop the torso down here. And we're going to lean our weight into our right foot. And you can drop your hips down. And then switch over to the left side. This is a great inner thigh stretch and strengthen. And moving back into triangle, both feet facing forward. Drop the torso again. And then come into a firefly pose. So you can either stay in triangle pose or you can take a hand balance here, whatever you're comfortable with. Come back into triangle. Bring those hands together behind your back. Really open up your shoulders. And release. So come back to a standing position. Drop down into your yogi squat. And coming up into goddess pose. To standing and drop down. And repeat. Keep your toes facing out, glutes nice and strong. You can lift your heels off the mat. Be sure not to let your knees drift forward. And come back down to yogi. And up to standing. Find the top of your mat. And drop forward into a forward fold. Walk your hands forward to downward dog, noticing the effects of practice so far. Walk your feet out, open up your shoulders by pushing them into the mat, And then bend your elbows, come into an upward facing dog, back to downward facing dog, and lift your right leg 5 times, engaging your hamstrings and your glutes. And on your 5th lift, hold, open your hip, and drop your foot down. You can make contact with your foot, with your hand if you feel comfortable, or just drop that foot down and repeat on the other side. 5 lifts. On the 5th lift, hold and open your leg and bend your leg, further opening your hip. You can make contact with your foot if you would like, with your opposite hand. Or just drop that leg down and walk your feet to your hands. And again, lift your right foot, coming into half splits. Drop that foot, opening up the hip further, and make contact with your opposite hand. And try to lift coming into dancer's pose. Hold here. Drop your hand down and release your foot. And half split on the other foot. Open up the hip, drop your foot, make contact with your opposite hand. Engage and try and come up to dancer's pose. Hold and drop down. Lean into your forward fold, down into your yogi squat, and breathe for a moment. And we are going to move into relaxation. So come down onto your back on the mat, and we are going to move into reclined pigeon pose. So come onto your back, knees are bent, cross your right leg over your left, and bring your knees in towards your chest. And just breathe and hold here. And when you feel comfortable, move on to the other side. Really notice the effects of practice and start to think about how you want your evening to go moving forward. And if you're ready, you can release, moving into whatever end of practice pose you would like to. You can extend your hands overhead and give a big stretch, or just lie here and reflect on the effects of moving your body, how your day went, start to process, and begin to think of how you would like your evening to look. And thank you so much for joining me. Remember to like, subscribe, comment. Thank you so much.